guys, Rhonda Draculis here, RK3 Designs, and today I'm gonna expand on a very, very common finish called Carrara marble. So we just came off of a full week of our Epoxy Pro class, and I really like to poll our class and kind of find out what they think the trends are. And most everyone I spoke to are really trending towards the grays and the whites. Those are super popular right now. So what we're gonna do today is show you kind of a different take on Carrara, and also we're gonna add some ever so slight veins. So what I have mixed up here is Stone Coat Countertop, and we're gonna use the Art Coat today because it's white finish and we really want a lot of that UV protection in there. So I'm starting off with our Art Coat. All right, I've mixed up white opaque dye from Alumilite, and we're gonna just randomly pour that on our surface. I really don't want a pattern, so I'm not gonna lay it down in a line or a striated form because I really do want it to be a marble effect. And then I have white mica powder from Stone Coat Countertop, and I mixed it with diamond dust, about 50-50. So it's pretty sparkly. I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna pour in all the area where there's no epoxy. Then I'm gonna take my hand and I'm just gonna marble that all together. I don't wanna over mix it, so I'm just getting the product on the board. If I over swirl it, then basically all I've done is take those two colors and made one color. This by itself is a gorgeous finish. And it's been brought to my attention that I tell everyone you could stop here, but I'm gonna go to the next step, which is true. You could stop here, but I'm gonna go one more step, actually two more steps. This is a beautiful finish. Even though I'm using white dye and white mica powder, there are some subtle differences in the two products, and it gives it a marble effect all on its own. I wanna make sure I get my edges. I love using my hands on this finish. I can really soften out the finish as much as I want to. All right, so I'm gonna torch it out. All right, so that is a super quick way to do a very, very pretty, very classic, very monotoned marble. But I'm gonna take it one step farther, like I like to do. All right, I'm taking Stone Gray, and I'm going to put it a little bit different. I like Stone Gray because Stone Gray is a color that is super versatile. If you have a home that has a few more earth tones in it, Stone Gray is great because it can go either to your grays or kind of to your earthy tones. So I'm gonna take it a little bit. This is a very small amount on my hand. I'm gonna rub it in. I already have epoxy on my hand. Don't do it on a dry glove. Do it where you already have epoxy, and you can really take that color and smash it around in there. Then I'm gonna just take it and very softly. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm not pressing down so that I'm moving my product around on the board. I'm barely putting any pressure at all on the surface. So if you want to get your edges a little darker, come back. You can grab those edges a little bit, knowing that those edges are going to continue to move and that color won't be as dark on those edges as it starts to roll over. Torch it one more time. This is a really good finish if you're doing a really large countertop as well, because it goes very, very fast. I don't really want to add another background color. If I wanted to incorporate another gray, I would grab smoke gray. This is also a very, very pretty gray, very light type gray. It's not really hard, and you can make it very subtle. So actually, I changed my mind because I can. It's my video. I'm going to add a little bit of that smoke gray in just a few spots, just to kind of bring it in. There we go. Ah, love it. All right. Cool. That was a good choice. If you want to stop here, you can. Just let this kind of meld on its own. You can manipulate it a little more with a heat gun. Okay, so I'm going to soften my marbling with my heat gun. And I'm going to come straight down because I don't want to push my effects sideways. I don't want to cause ripples. So I'm going to bring my heat gun straight overhead, and I'm just going to open up the pattern. Perfect. If you have the ability to tilt, this would be a great way to get a very, very soft pattern as well. But remember, if you can't tilt the finish that you're pouring, make sure you don't tilt your sample board. Tilting and heat take whatever pattern that you have and makes it very soft. So if you have a very distinct line and you want to soften that line, then heating it or tilting it will help that soften out. I want to take and add a couple of veins, and I want those veins to be ever so slight. So I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do it right now while my epoxy is still very fresh. A lot of times when I do veins, I'll wait just a little bit so that I have more control over my veins and the epoxy is not going to move as much. But I actually do want these veins to move because as it starts to settle out, as the epoxy starts to self-level, I want these veins to kind of open up and be ever so slight. Let's start off with our stone gray. Now, when I put paint on my stick, I make sure that when I hold that up, I don't see a drip forming. If I can start seeing paint form into a drip for this particular finish, I know I have way too much paint on it. So I can see this is starting to form a drip. So I'm going to tap it off. All right. So I'm going to think about where I want this vein to run. And I'm just going to add it in very softly. And it doesn't have to be distinct at first. You could always go back and add more color. I'm just trying to kind of decide where I want my veins to go. I think I'm going to come out here. There. Now I can come back with a little more color, be a little more distinct with it. And I'm even going to come in from this side. Take that color and put it into your finish. Don't let that paint just sit there on top. I'm still using the paint that I sprayed on the table. Haven't added any more. And you can see as it starts running across the table, it gets lighter and lighter. So if you're doing a really big piece, you're definitely going to want to come in with your paint at different angles so that you still have some color down at the other end of your countertop. All right, I really like that. And this one's going to kind of run off the edge. Good. Add a little bit more color. I think I'll branch it off. I try not to have my veins all branch from the same area because that looks very much fake and it looks like a chicken foot. I think I'm going to come in, I'm going to bring this piece out down here. And then I'm going to even branch that one off a little bit. Now, if you don't like it, let's say I don't like what I just did, just take your hand and remarble it, and boom, it disappears. So that's the really fun part about this finish, is that you can kind of change it up, and you may think you like something, but then once you see it, you're like, don't like that. So just kind of marble it back out. I'm really liking how it's starting to just fade. And now I'm gonna come in with my smoke gray. So any places where I have the paint pool up, I'll just work it back out. And then you can even have some kickers coming out on here where there's really not much color on your stick at all. You're just barely dragging any color through. I'm gonna bring some color in this way and work it down. You can even have a vein that's not connected come up through your top. Yeah, that's very pretty. All right, so my heat gun. Now, when you're using your heat gun on these very, very faint veins, you want to be very careful not to overwork them because they're going to continue to move. Again, I'm coming straight over the top, and I'm just opening up those veins just a little bit. I'm almost having them fade completely out as I move towards the edges. Now this edge, I have quite a bit of color, which I really like. I'm gonna kind of utilize that and have it run over my edges and cause a really neat looking effect. All right. I love this. I love this. I really, really like this. Okay, guys. I'm actually gonna call it a day. Actually, I'm not. Sorry. I'm gonna pick up some of these drips, and I'm gonna come over here and I'm just gonna do some fracture lines, which are gonna be so incredibly faint as this piece moves. You probably won't even noticeably see them, but it takes this piece to the whole new level of making it look realistic. Really use those drips. Start off your board and just run it across. This big line, even though it looks like very distinct, as it continues to move, it'll really settle out and be very, very pretty. Now, if you don't like it going across your vein, just take your stick and work your vein so that it looks like that fault line is behind the vein. Cool. All right. Now I'm done. If you like this finish, give me a thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channels. We release videos weekly. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments down below, maybe some colors that you would add. And I love hearing from you guys. Don't be scared, move forward, and be creative.